Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I am audible. So, last class we discussed about the newspaper analysis, and that was for part one. So, we have a few more topics to be completed, and we'll be completing it today. So, let's go into the first topic. Please let me know if I'm audible and clear so that we can continue. Hello, Anand, Jai Hind. Please let me know if I'm audible and clear so that we can continue. Yes, super. So, the first topic of today's discussion is that Kejriwal takes on Shah. Baba Sahib is no less than a god of modern India. So, there was an issue in terms of parliament regarding this, Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So that is there was some controversy around it. So instead of concentrating on the controversy, we would go to what kind of questions we can expect in the UPSC examination. So one thing I would suggest you when it comes to UPSC preparation is that you do not think that questions do not come from controversy or questions come from controversy directly. So what happens is that everything is news for us, everything is current affairs for us, but we should know to filter what will be asked in the examination and what is controversy. So question won't be directly from controversy, like who spoke, what they spoke. So the question won't be like that, but still questions can come regarding the basic related to that particular issue. For example, here in this issue, we do not need to know what they spoke or what is the controversy, but we should know about the father of Indian constitution, and we will be knowing that now. So the first is that early life and education of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So April 14, 1891, so he was born in Madhya Pradesh, and the father's name is Subedar Ramji Maloji Sakpal. Passed away on December 6, 1956. So education is he studied in Bombay University and Columbia University in New York and London School of Economics. So he was a lawyer by profession, and he is called as the father of Indian Constitution because he was the head of drafting committee. So he was a chairman of drafting committee, and he is responsible for the great constitution we have today. It's the lengthiest and the inclusive constitution among the world, and we have it today because of him. So one thing we should know about Baba Sahib Ambedkar is that he was a visionary. He understood what might be happening in the future even after 75 years of independence. And yesterday we celebrated our Republic Day. Even after these many years, the Indian Constitution stays as a live document, not a relic. It is serving as a live document, and it is helping people. It is giving hope to people, and it is helping India to be one of the best democracies in the world. So, the social reform activism about him we should know is that Bahishkrit Hit Karni Sabha. So, it was initiated in 1923 for the welfare of depressed classes. So, and then Bahishkrit Bharat 1927, it was to address social issues, and Mahat Satyagraha. So these are the social reform and activism related to Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So this year I am expecting a question either in terms of prelims or mains related to either it is comparison. So last year in 2023 we had a comparison between Mahatma Gandhi ji and Rabindranath Tagore ji. So this year there might be a question comparing, Ambedkar and any of the leaders, or we might get question related to Ambedkar by itself. So please be ready. So this was a major thing that we should keep it in mind. So political involvement. So he participated in Round Table Conference in 1930. Excuse me. Fine. So, Round Table Conference 1932 and Pune Pact, it is very important that we should know, because Pune Pact is an agreement between Mahatma Gandhiji and Ambedkar. So, this is something we should keep it in mind. So, this is related to communal award. So, this can be asked as an important question, and we have something related to this in NCERT also. So, you can please go and refer to it. Fine. So, it is related to the reserved seats for depressed classes in elections. Fine. So, Independent Labour Party in 1936 was founded by him, and Scheduled Caste Federation was founded 1942. This was asked in examination once. Fine. So, next is, see, the thing is, many have spoken about, many have fought for scheduled caste, untouchability concept, to work against untouchability. Every leader have their own perspective, so you please go and understand the different perspectives and what are the constitutional provisions related to scheduled caste. So, next is role in Indian constitution. So, he was a constituent assembly member and he represented Bengal, and he was the first law minister. That is also something we should keep it in our mind. So, chairman of drafting committee, and he was called as the father of Indian constitution, and advocated for social justice, equality and fundamental rights. Fine. So, he was one of the best example that if we are having any issues, violence won't be an answer, but the solution is sought out through the right path, through education, through law, all those things. And he proved that the constitution can be a protection and hope to many people. So, government service, he was the executive council, he was in the executive council of Governor General, labor representative, and he was the first law minister of India from 1947 to 51, and he resigned over the dilution of Hindu Code Bill. He resigned in 1951. So, we all know that he converted his religion to Buddhism, and there is a memorial in Mumbai for him, and it is Chaitya Bhumi. So, this can be asked as a question. Chaitya Bhumi. Okay. Yes. So, Chaitya Bhumi is a memorial of which of the following can be a question we can expect. It's Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So, he has found organizations which we discussed: Independent Labour Party, Scheduled Caste Federation. Books are very important. Books and journals are very important. See, these are factual data. So, compared to other data, these are factual data, and one thing I would always tell you related to factual data is that repetition will only help us from forgetting these factual data. So, because factual data, they do not have any logic behind them, which will not help us to keep it safe in our mind. So, factual data are volatile memory, and they tend to fade away if you do not repeat. So, what happens is that we have to keep them in mind by repetition, and repetition only will help us. So, you have to keep that and keep repeating again, write them somewhere, keep on looking at them again and again. So, books of Ambedkar: Annihilation of Caste, Buddha and his Dhamma, The Untouchables, The Rise and Fall of Hindu Women, Buddha or Karl Marx. So, all these books you can keep it in mind. And the journals are Mook Nayak, Bahishkrit Bharat, Samata, Janata. So, these are his journals and these are his books. So, keep them in mind. So, next is awards and honors. So, he was awarded India's highest civilian honor, Bharat Ratna, in 1990. I am repeating, India's highest civilian honor is Bharat Ratna, and he was awarded Bharat Ratna in 1990. And the present time, where all you can use Baba Saheb Ambedkar is that you can use in many places in terms of ethics, essay. You can use them in terms of your social justice related questions or anywhere, and direct questions also can be asked. So, related to social justice, education and empowerment and guiding vision, I told you he was a visionary, and shaping India's social, political and educational landscape, he was one of the important personality. And next is, we can see the picture, a spot-billed pelican is feeding the young one at Uppalapadu Bird Sanctuary, Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh on Thursday. So, it was that day. Thursday, thousands of migratory birds visit the sanctuary every year to nest and breed. So, whenever you see any species, So the trend in UPSC currently is asking interesting questions. The questions are not asked like randomly they are asking you, no. So usually we got questions related to protection status, where do you find these birds, animals, like that. But now we are getting questions related to interesting facts. For example, there was a question related to social setup of elephants. Are they matriarchal society? Kind of questions were asked. They asked about squirrel being omnivore or herbivore because they predicted that we might not know. We all might assume squirrel is a herbivore, and they kept a question there. And then they asked about honeybee. They asked about orangutan. So questions they are asking with respect to interesting fact. This is to check the curiosity. Simply speaking, they want to know whether you are really curious or you are just forcing the data in your mind to clear this examination. And yes, good afternoon, hello, fine. So keep this in mind, what do I tell you is that one thing I can help you with is, whenever you are coming across these species, be it plants or animals, just Google something called as interesting fact about. So you can take any species, like let's say a spot-billed pelican. We are seeing the spot-billed pelican. So you have to know about the protection status. 3 protection status I have discussed in last month's editorial analysis, where I told you have to know the 3 protection status of a Wildlife Protection Act. You should know about the CITES appendix, and you should know about the IUCN status. Apart from this, Google an interesting fact about spot-billed pelican. You will get something, and that's more interesting that it will stay in your mind. Just 2 seconds or let's say 2 minutes. 2 minutes you are spending time on that, and you will get some information which might help you in terms of examination. Since it's the trend, I am giving you this tip. Next is that about spot-billed pelican. So Pelicanus philippensis and medium-sized pelican. Physical characteristics: grayish white plumage. Plumage means the feather color, feathers. So that is what you call it as plumage, and it is distinctive spotted bill. So bill is usually the nose. Bill is the nose of any bird. You call it as bill. So pinkish skin around eyes and head during breeding season. So this is the concept. And habitat distribution. It is distributed in South Asia, Southeast Asia, and significant populations in India, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. So what do you see here? So you can find them in the southern part of India. That is the meaning. And freshwater wetlands, marshes, lakes, and estuaries, which means they are wetlands. So they are found near wetlands, and they are found in the southern part of India, and you can also see them in terms of Southeast Asia and South Asia. Yes. So next is diet and foraging behavior. They are carnivorous in nature, primarily feeds on fish. Cooperative hunting, that is they work in group and to drive fish into shallow waters. So which means what they do is they work in groups such a way that they drive the fish. So usually the group of fishes are called a school of fish. So they drive the school of fish into shallow water. So once the fishes are in the shallow water, it is easy to fish, right? Because when the bird is picking up from the top, let's say this is the water level, so the bird will come and pick the fish from the top. So if the water is shallow, the school of fishes cannot escape. It is easy for them to, the success rate or the hunting rate would be higher. So they work in drive such a way that group of birds act together, send the fishes into the shallow water, and then they work better in terms of fishing. Yes. So pouch feeding uses pouch to scoop up fish and drain water. So which means they have pouch like bill, and they just scoop the fishes, scoop the water. They don't pick the fish, they scoop the water, and whatever it is in the it will filter. It looks similar to filter feeding mechanism. This is how the whales function, filter feeder. What the whales do, they don't hunt. They are very big such that they open their mouth and they take so much water in, and they filter the water out, and whatever is stuck inside the water when they are catching the hold of water will be filtered, and that is what you call it as filter feeder. It is not filter feeder, I won't say filter feeder, but somewhat similar to it, because filter feeder they don't intentionally do it. They just open their mouth, take so much water in, they filter it, So that is the concept there. They don't hunt, they don't know what they are eating, but here it is a different concept by itself. They hunt, but only thing is the catching of prey is through scooping the water, that's all. Next is breeding season, winter, October to March. Nesting season, like builds large stick nests in colonies, 3 to 4 eggs per clutch. Parental care, both parents incubate and feed the young, and fledging period is 3 to 4 months, which means the chicks stay with the parents and then they leave alone. Coming to the conservation status, according to IUCN, they are near threatened. And Indian Wildlife Protection Act, they are inside Schedule 4 and CITES Appendix 2. So threats, habitat loss, pollution, human disturbance, and always you can write climate change. And ecological importance, ecosystem services and indicator species. This is very important. If it is an indicator species or if it is a keystone species, there is a high possibility that turns out in examination. Please keep that in mind. This is an indicator species, which means indicator species are highly sensitive. So any change to the environment or any change to the ecosystem they belong to, any minute change to the ecosystem they belong to will be immediately indicated, will immediately disturb this particular species. So what happened? The experts keep reading the indicator species. So immediately they will know there is a disturbance in the ecosystem, and it will help them to act fast and save the ecosystem at the earliest. So that is about this indicator species. And cultural significance, they are prominent in terms of folklore and art. In terms of local cultures, there are certain components related to spot-billed pelican. And community-based conservation, example like you can see in Kokrabellur village. Yes, so next is why and how did the United States eradicate murder hornets? So this murder hornet, before going to this murder hornet, we should know that what is an invasive species. So there are certain criteria with related to invasive species. So what is an invasive species? So invasive species are usually exotic species. Exotic species means the species that has come out, it is not native, simply speaking it is not native, it has come out from outside of the ecosystem. And all the exotic species are not invasive, and exotic species becomes invasive when the rate of reproduction is high and also the rate of consumption, resource consumption is also high. So what happens? Eventually this invasive species will dominate the particular ecosystem, disturbing the biodiversity. The major issue with respect to an invasive species is that it disrupts the biodiversity. So these are the criteria. An invasive species are usually exotic species. These exotic species have high rate of reproduction and high rate of consumption. Because of this, what happens is they consume the resources and they reproduce very fast, and they start dominating the ecosystem and they disturb the biodiversity. This is a concept. And this northern giant hornet is actually an invasive species declared by the IUCN. So Vespa mandarinia, or commonly murder hornet, is the world's largest hornet, and it is native to Asia, which is in Japan, China, Southeast Asia, etc. See, one of the major reasons why these invasive species have a high rate of reproduction and rate of resource consumption is that when they become invasive, that is when they enter a foreign ecosystem, so in their native ecosystem, they will be fitting inside the food chain. So they will have a predator which will take care of their population. But when they are introduced into a new ecosystem, what happens is here they might not have a predator. So what happens is here their population will proliferate faster. That is the thing that we should understand. Logically speaking, why there is an invasive species successful, or why is an invasive species prominent in certain places, is that the population control would have been possible in its native location. But in the foreign location, the population controlling factors like in whatever is in environment, it can be a predator, it can be climatic condition, resource availability, whatever it is, there is no controlling mechanism. There is no mechanism to keep the population growth in check. So that is the reason the invasive species are more successful in the foreign habitats compared to the native habitats. So it is native to Japan, China and Southeast Asia. In America, they have become invasive species. So size up to 2 inches, 5 centimeter, appears all orange, yellow, black banded abdomen, and wingspan is up to 3 inches, 7.6 centimeters. So you can see the picture that is here. So this is the murder hornet in the picture. Yes. So next, behavior, predatory nature. So there is something called a slaughter phase. What they do, they go and attack the beehives. So they go attack the beehives, they send the bees, all the bees away, and then they start consuming on the beehive. So that is one of the major issue here. And they are also issue to human population because the sting is highly painful and they inject large amount of venom. So multiple stings are also possible. So now what happens, what is the issue with respect to this is, they are threat to pollinators. So when they are threat to pollinators, two things happen. What are the two things is that they can create issue in terms of biodiversity and also in terms of agriculture. So those things we should know. And habitat loss, deforestation, urbanization, these are the things that can control them, and indirect impacts on population is done through pesticide use. And how they are eradicated in United States is through radio tracking, nest sealing and vacuuming. This is something usually we do. Hornets we can find anywhere, and usually they are destroyed through vacuuming or sealing the nest or something. Collaboration with state, federal agencies and international experts, they have done this eradication, and they have claimed to be successfully eradicating murder hornet population by 2024. So this is the concept about invasive species. It is non-native in origin, usually human introduction. So this human introduction can be of various reasons, because of importing any agricultural products, or when you are bringing something for pet industry. Apple snail is one of the example where the shipping industry have brought apple snails into various places. That is also something you can keep it in mind. So next is northern giant hornet as an invasive species. IUCN, it is not listed in IUCN, sorry, it is not listed. I told you it is listed, it is not listed in IUCN. And IUCN has released 100 of the world's worst invasive alien species. And this was asked in the question, which of the following have released the world's invasive alien species list? And the answer was IUCN. This was asked in 2023 prelims. Yes, so it has been recognized in North America as an invasive species and not according to IUCN. Fine. So IUCN have listed worldwide invasive species. This murder hornet is invasive species in America and native to Asia. Keep that in mind, specifically South Asia. FSSAI seeks quarterly data on rejected and expired food items. So we have to know about Food Security, Safety and Security Authority of India. So it's an autonomous statutory body under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So we should know if it is a statutory body, according to which act it is a statutory body. It is established under Food Safety and Standards Act 2006, and it was effective from August 5, 2011. And it regulates the food safety of India with respect to what has to be appearing on the cover, and how are you going to fix the expiry date, how are you going to maintain, how are you going to dispose those expired products, everything comes under their purview. So headquarters is in New Delhi, and the chairperson is appointed by the central government. So objectives of FSSAI is that ensure food safety. So all these things, they ensure the food safety, they ensure consumer protection, and what are the standards of development, promoting innovation, and awareness campaigns also come under their purview. So Eat Right movement is one of the important campaign conducted by FSSAI. Okay, fine. So next is structure. They have 3-tier structure: Central Advisory Committee, Scientific Committees, and State Food Authorities. So these are the 3-tier structure of Food Safety and Security Authority of India. So Eat Right Station certification, safe and nutritious food, food fortification. The food fortification is something very important, because recently we all talk about nutrition. We don't talk about just food security. Under food security, we also have the concept of balanced diet. So when we come to balanced diet, food fortification plays a major role. So this food fortification also comes under the concept, comes under Food Safety and Security Authority of India. It is very important. And food safety compliance system and RUCO initiative, recycle used cooking oil to biodiesel, that is also coming under FSSAI. This is something very important because this is linking food safety to sustainable development. So again I can say one more word, this is some initiative related to circular economy. You can even link it with mission life. So this is how we have to link concept. So I am taking it from FSSAI, I am going to circular economy, I am bringing it to mission life. So you can keep all these things in mind and you can talk about it. This RUCO initiative will help in terms of maintaining public health and also in terms of sustainable development, where we can produce biodiesel from cooking oil, used cooking oil. Okay. So next is role of Food Safety and Security Authority of India in food safety, and they have regulations and standard, and they are the licensing authority. They regularly conduct inspections and audits, and they also have training and capacity building concept. Fine. So they train officers, they train businesses related to food security, etc. Next is officials from Kerala begin clearing biomedical waste from Tamil Nadu district. So there was this issue where the disposal of biomedical waste from Kerala took place in Tamil Nadu, and what happened is that the court has ordered to remove these biomedical waste to the Kerala government, and the Kerala government sent panel of people to come and remove it. Fine. So that is the concept here. And key provisions, we should know about the key provisions of biomedical waste management rules. So under which are we addressing these issues? This biomedical waste management rules of 2016. And what are this is all healthcare facilities, including hospitals, clinics, labs, animal houses, anything related to healthcare, it can be human being or it can be animal, it comes under the concept of biomedical waste management. And the segregation is based on color codes, yellow, red, white and blue. So that means every hospital, if you see, you can go and check, they will have different dustbins, and in the dustbins they will have the colors of dustbin placed. Based on the colors of dustbin, what we will have is, we will have the segregation taking place. Fine. So required on-site treatment is required for facilities. 10 beds are tie up with this, and waste minimization will take place. Emphasis on proper segregation and management, and strict timeline for implementation also takes place. Along with that, authorization, who is going to authorize this state is that State Pollution Control Board, and barcoding takes place, that is tracking of waste from source to disposal. This is very important. So what happens is, if it is improperly disposed, then it can be tracked easily to the source, and the source of this biomedical waste will be penalized. So training and monitoring, healthcare worker training annual report to State Pollution Control Boards, and mixing biomedical waste with municipal waste is prohibited. This is very important. According to this biomedical waste management rules of 2016, mixing biomedical waste is prohibited. Okay. Fine. Next is environmental impact, soil contamination, water pollution, air pollution. So these are the major environmental impact from biomedical waste. Leaching of chemicals, which means leaching of chemicals here means they when there is a water flow, so they will take the chemicals in the biomedical waste. It will either mix with the soil and get into bioaccumulation process, or it will mix up with the groundwater. Like I have mentioned here, groundwater and surface water contamination. Pathogens can mix up with the water, so waterborne diseases, airborne diseases can be an issue, and reduced fertility of soil will take place. And water pollution, contamination of both groundwater and surface water. And air pollution, toxic gases, dioxins, furans from burning waste can also be a major issues. And health hazards, infectious diseases like exposure to hepatitis, HIV, bacterial and viral infection. So hepatitis is one of the diseases with high death rate. So that is actually it is more than HIV by itself. That is something we should know. And bacterial and viral infections can take place, and injury to waste handlers can take place. Sharp objects, because mostly in terms of biomedical waste there is high prevalence of metals and glasses. So if not properly segregated, if not properly disposed, the segregation might take place at the collection place or disposal place, which will lead to harming of healthcare workers, so or harming of cleaning workers. So that is a major issue. And antimicrobial resistance, because of this biomedical waste, improper disposal of biomedical waste, one of the major issue we should keep it in mind is that it will lead to issues that it will lead to antimicrobial resistance. So it is World Health Organization has mentioned it is one of the major issue right now. It can become a pandemic in future. That is what World Health Organization has mentioned. So antimicrobial resistance because of improper biomedical waste management is a point that we should keep it in mind. So other impacts, it will affect wildlife and livestock, social and aesthetic purpose, order, disease spread, all these issues will take place, and legal violation of law undermining global commitments, and economically it increased healthcare and waste management costs will take place, and this in turn is increasing health load on the people and also the government. Yes. So next, why growth of India? One second. Why the growth of India's overall green cover is not all good news. So this is about India State of Forest Report. So first we should know what is India State of Forest Report. So it is published by Forest Survey of India. So it is published by Forest Survey of India, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and the frequency is every 2 years. So the last report was in 2021. And now the report is released in 2023. Yes. Yes. So next is dense forest, 70% canopy cover, high biodiversity, crucial for carbon storage. Dense forest is greater than 70 forest cover classification they are talking about. So dense forest means the tree cover is more than 70%. So that is very important for canopy cover, high biodiversity, and crucial for carbon storage and water regulation. So for climate change issues, or in terms of water issues, all these things, for all these things dense forest is one of the important answer. And we call moderate forest where the canopy cover is 40 to 70%. Canopy cover is the density of trees I am talking about. So 70, if the canopy cover is greater than 70%, you call it as dense forest. If it is between 40 to 70%, you call it as moderately dense forest. So if it is between 10 to 40%, we call it as open forest. And man-made forests come under the concept of plantations. See, mostly with respect to plantations, something we should keep it in mind is that in terms of forest or natural forest, we will have the biodiversity, but in terms of plantation, usually it is a single crop cultivated on a large area of land. So the single crop cultivated on a large area of land, we cannot have the biodiversity expected. Sometimes these plantations are not environment friendly also. That is something we should keep it in mind. That is monoculture. Example, teak, eucalyptus, or we can call it as tea estates, coffee estates, all these come under the concept of plantations. So man-made forest often monoculture, which means single crop is cultivated through large patch of land, and that is not always supportive to the environment, even though we have plants there. Biodiversity is more important compared to just having the forest cover. So this can be asked in the examination. What is the forest cover classification with respect to the factual data related to the canopy cover? More than 70% is dense forest, 40 to 70% is moderately dense forest, and open forest is 10 to 40%, and plantation is man-made forest, often monocultures. Next is key trends in this Indian State of Forest Report 2003 to 2023 is that increase in overall green cover, that is more than 5,596 square kilometer of forest have been increased, and dominance of open forest have taken place because it is mainly due to plantations. That is what I told you now. So the forest cover has increased, but what happened here is the plantations have increased, but dense forest have declined. That's why I told you, even though overall when we see the forest cover has increased, it's not a good news because dense forest is what is more important for the environmental conservation, but instead we have increased the plantations. Plantations take place by deforestation, where the dense forest is destroyed and replaced with plantation. Even though in terms of plantation we do have forest cover, they are not desirable for environmental conservation. So plantation driven growth, significant increase in plantation like Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, we can see it, and lack of ecological benefits compared to the natural forest is a major issue. Because in plantation, even though you have the herbivore species, even though you have the plants, the animals are not allowed. Obviously, the animals are sent away to protect the plant to protect the plant from damages. So obviously, the biodiversity is not encouraged here. Monoculture, you cannot call monoculture as a forest cover. So forest degradation of moderately dense forest into open forest, and factors here is deforestation, agriculture, infrastructure development, etc. So regional variations, northeast and central India, significant loss of dense forest have taken place. In terms of semi-arid and urban region, green cover has been increased through plantations and afforestation. So that is something we should know. An impact on biodiversity and ecology, this dense forest decline is leading to biodiversity issues. So now there is a weakening of ecosystem services, because from ecosystem we are expecting certain services like water regulation, carbon sequestration, food availability, all these things. Now we are facing issues because of this, which means even though the forest cover has increased, it is not beneficial. That is why we said that why the growth of India's overall green cover is not all good news. Fine. Next is that carbon stock trend, increase in forest carbon stock, decline in dense forest slow down the growth rate of carbon stock. Next is octopuses and their relatives are new animal welfare frontier. So cephalopods. So cephalopods means cephal is head, pod is legs. The legs are connected to the head, that is what you call it as cephalopod. So generally in terms of these binomial nomenclature, there are certain terms which we should understand. Cephal is head. So cephalopod is legs, pod is legs. So legs are connected to the head, like echinoderm. Echinoderm is where the skin, derm is skin. Skins are either thorny or hard. Cephalopod is where head is connected to the legs. So cephalopods are group may be similar in intelligence to vertebrates as a group and may deserve humane treatment. So which means that one question is, there is a possibility that they have a sense of self, so they have to be treated properly. So that is a concept here. So cephalopod classification, they come under phylum Mollusca, subclass Coelida, and includes octopuses, squids and cuttlefish, excludes nautiluses, shelled mollusks. Unique feature, advanced nervous system, W-shaped pupils for enhanced vision, and octopuses have 500 million neurons and 300 million neurons are there in arms alone. Fine. So remarkable camouflage, we all know, like you can go and see the camouflage of octopuses. They are known for camouflage. Camouflage is blending themselves. It's an adaptation to blend themselves with the surrounding environment. So most of the species will have camouflage. So here the concept here is, generally the species like you see parrots have camouflage where they blend with the trees. You cannot find a parrot on the tree. But one thing different between them is that in terms of cephalopods, they have the ability to change their skin color according to the environment, which means they can blend easily with even in the change of environment. So which makes them very easy to be a good predator also, and also escape from their predators. So they are good predators, they have high hunting rate, and also they can escape their predators by blending with the environment. So remarkable camouflage and complex behavior, they have mimicry, active hunting, etc. So size diversity range from small squids to giant squids, diverse habitat, deep seas, shallow reefs. Sometimes you can see any cephalopods near the beaches also. And brain complexity is influenced by the environment. So there were certain situations where octopuses were used to predict the football matches. So that is one of the example of their intelligence. And cognition and intelligence, brain neurons. So they have distributed brain neurons even in terms of arms, so that is making them more intelligent. And they have learning and memory capacity. So that is a major thing. And comparison to vertebrates, they are comparably intelligent to birds and mammals. So birds are known for high intelligence, and specifically parrots are highly intelligent, and they are saying that the cephalopods can have intelligence compared to certain birds and mammals. So starling is one of the bird. So starling family only we have common myna. So common myna we all might know. So common myna belongs to the starling family. So animal welfare and ethical concerns. So legislative actions in California, it is banning octopus farming. Proposed UN congressional ban on octopus farming and imports, and international guidance, EU ethical standards for cephalopods research in 2010, and also guidelines for cephalopods care in labs. So Association for Assessment and Accreditation of Laboratory Animal Care International. So it is established in 1965. It is non-governmental and non-profit organization, and human treatment of animals in research, testing and education is important. So functions, accreditation, assessment, guideline development and advocacy. So all these things. This you can keep it in mind. So this can be asked in examination. What is Association for Assessment and Accreditation of Laboratory Animal Care International? So what is the research, what is the reasons for ethical concern is that, see, they are similar to vertebrates, which means they might have a sense of self, they might have certain emotions which makes them more prone to danger, and human treatment has to be given. An environmental concern, aquaculture wastage, antibiotic usage, which might lead to antimicrobial issues, all those. So camouflage and communication, how does that take place is that they have pigment sacs for dynamic skin color change. So you can go and check in the YouTube videos. It is very fascinating to see how an octopus can blend to the outside environment. Specifically, they can go and blend with the corals. So what happens when there is a prey, it can easily hunt them because the prey is not aware that the predator is there because of the camouflage. So blending into the surrounding for stealthy hunting. So that is what is about this camouflage concept. So changes in measuring intelligence. So brain to body ratio. So what is brain to body ratio is that in general when you take the brain size, is brain size alone enough? It is not considered that higher the brain size is, higher the intelligence is. It is not considered that way. Usually they take a brain to body ratio. So human beings are highly intelligent compared to an elephant. Yes or no? Why is this? Elephant's brain is bigger than human brain. Let's take blue whale's brain is even bigger than elephant's brain. But why human being is considered as an intelligent species is that the brain to body ratio, that is the ratio between the weight of the brain and the weight of the body is higher in human beings, compared to the other animals. That is why the intelligence is measured based on this brain to body ratio and not based on the weight of the brain. Keep that in mind. So behavioral evidence, visual cue utilization, problem solving flexibility, adapting to changing situation. So obviously we know human beings are one of the most successful species on this earth because we live almost on all the continents. That is because we have an adaptation strategy. Even though the body is not having the adaptation strategy, we have the cognizance to manipulate the environment wherever we go. One best example is the air conditioner. So you be in a very colder region, you have an air conditioner which warms up the environment for you. You are in a hotter region, you have the air conditioner which is going to cool the environment for you. So human beings, even though we do not have special adaptations like we can't run fast, we can't fly, we can't swim for a longer distance, we have cognitive development such that we can manipulate the environment through those things. So that is the concept here. And significance of research. So yes, so all these things. Next is Congress Bellavi session from today to pay homage to Gandhiji and Ambedkar. So what is the special about thing is that we should know that 1924 Belagavi session took place, and it was the only session presided over by the Gandhi. So there are various Indian National Congress session starting from 1855 to 1947. Is it important to memorize all those things? First of all, it is not possible and it is not needed. So we have to remember certain important places. In that, one of the important session that took place in 1924 is Gandhiji's Belagavi session. So what is the significance about this? That after non-cooperation movement, Gandhiji was released in 1924 from the jail, and that was the year he was made the president of Indian National Congress session. And that is the only session he became the president, and this, even though it is an extreme statement, it is right. He was the president of Indian National Congress session only once. And this transformed the Congress into the mass movement, and he made the people ready for the civil disobedience movement after that. So key discussion was Swaraj and Sarvodaya, addressed untouchability, promoted Khadi and self-reliance, and focused on democratic functions of Congress. So Gandhian ideology, so just discussing the Gandhian ideology, Ahimsa, non-violence, Swaraj is self-rule, Sarvodaya is welfare of all, Sarvodaya, Sarva is all, Sarvodaya is welfare of all, especially the underprivileged. Khadi and self-reliance, it is something related to Swadeshi movement, usage or economically supporting Indian manufacturers, rural development and trusteeship. So these are the important ideologies of Gandhiji. Yes. So truth and non-violence, so Ahimsa and Satyagraha are the most important ideologies. And the Gandhian movements we should know is non-cooperation movement in 1920, civil disobedience movement in 1930, and Quit India movement in 1942. The major difference between non-cooperation movements and civil disobedience movement is that in non-cooperation movement, Gandhiji asked not to cooperate, asked everyone not to cooperate the British government, like not going to the schools, not going to the office, all those things. So civil disobedience movement is to break the law peacefully. So breaking civil laws peacefully. So which is a sign of protest showing that I am not here to follow your rules and regulations, but in a very peaceful way. So that is what is civil disobedience movement. This is a major difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. We should keep it in mind. Next is global polio resurgence and need to reevaluate the basics. So India has been declared polio-free country, and now there is an issue with respect to this wild polio virus first strain. There are 3 strains of wild polio, 1, 2 and 3, which 2 and 3 have been eradicated in 1999 and 2012 respectively. But now wild polio virus 1 is seen circulating in the world. So it is endemic to Afghanistan and Pakistan, and the genetic material is single stranded RNA, and structure is non-enveloped protein capsid, and family is Picornoviridae. So next is vaccine derived poliovirus, which means when we are taking vaccine, so one thing we should know is that vaccines are not 100% 100% safe. So every vaccination will have a side effect. Like any technology will always have a side effect. You cannot say that there is a technology which has 0 side effects, which has 0 negatives. Every technology will have side effects and negative aspects. The major aim in terms of any of the research and development would be minimizing the impacts, minimizing the negative impacts, and minimizing the issues, risks with respect to it. And in that case, vaccine derived polio virus is that when we are administering the vaccine, there is a possibility the patient is getting exposed to mutated form of polio virus, specifically the oral polio virus. So this is what is about this polio virus issue. So polio virus vaccine is administered both way, one is oral way and intravenous way. Oral way is through drops and intravenous is through injections. So the transmission is through fecal oral route, specifically the contaminated water, and respiratory route is through inhalation of droplets, and more common is through this contaminated food and water, and less common is through inhalation. So oral polio vaccine is through live attenuated virus, oral administration to improve the herd immunity. This is through drops. And this is killed virus injection through injection. It is through intravenous. So here you can see the intravenous inactive polio vaccine is killed. So it cannot cause the vaccine derived infection. But in terms of oral polio vaccination, it is live attenuated, and that might cause issue. So next is polio free status and endgame strategy. India has been declared polio free in 2014. That is 3 years of 0 wild polio virus cases, and it is given, the status is given by World Health Organization. And World Health Organization's polio endgame strategy is to eradicate all types of polio virus and prevent the re-emergence. So next is India plans to send human into the deep sea in 2026. So what is this deep sea mission? Is that so facing out what is deep sea mission is that exploration and study of ocean regions below 200 meters, and the focus is to study the seabed because Indian Ocean is said to have more resources and India can utilize it. So we are trying to understand this deep sea through deep sea mission. So key objective is to marine resource exploration, climate studies, biodiversity research, technology development and disaster preparedness. So India's Deep Ocean Mission has been launched in 2021 of 7 September by Ministry of Earth Sciences. Keep this in mind. This Deep Ocean Mission is under the Ministry of Earth Sciences and it's a central sector scheme which is 100% funding by central government. So blue focus on blue economy. So blue economy is economical activities dependent on ocean. So that is something we should keep it in mind. And Samudrayan project is a part of Deep Ocean Mission, which is a manned deep sea exploration. So this is the concept. Samudrayan is a manned deep sea exploration where we send man to the deep sea to explore different concepts. It is similar to space mission where we have Chandrayaan, Gaganyaan, all these. So this is Samudrayan, which is sending man to the deep ocean. Fine. Next is Matsya. So it's India's first manned submersible. Matsya is fish, right? So Matsya 6000 is India's first manned submersible, capacity of 3 people and depth of 6000 meters and developed by NIOT Chennai, National Institute of Ocean Technology, and design has been completed. Fine, yes. So next is about BRICS. Excerpts from Russia's President Vladimir Putin's press conference following the 16th BRICS summit in Kazan. So about what is BRICS? It's an intergovernmental organization and the acronym stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. So it was established to counter the G7. So G7 were the 7 countries which combined to form, and those 7 countries were developed nations. So to counter that, there was these countries Brazil, Russia, India and China who combined to form this BRICS summit. So it focuses on investment, geopolitical and bilateral relations, and non-interference, equality and mutual benefit is one of the important principles. This is very important. Non-interference means internal issues of a country. These countries are not supposed to get involved in the internal issues of the members, and it was founded in 2009. So BRICS membership, it has been expanded. So founding members in 2000 was Brazil, Russia, India and China. Then South Africa joined in 2010, and 2024 now Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia and United Arab Emirates also have joined. So it represents 45% of global population, and 40% of pre-2024 it was 45%, and post-2024 it is 40% of global population. So what are the key BRICS initiative? This can be a question. New Development Bank, Contingent Reserve Arrangement, UFA Declaration, BRICS STA Framework. These all can be asked as a question. So impact of expansion. Now it is holding 37% of global GDP. So which is surpassing G7's GDP by itself. So G7 was supposed to be the countries which are very powerful economically and also strategically. Now because of BRICS getting expanded, 37% of global GDP is under BRICS, and now it has surpassed the G7 by itself. So strengthened influence in the energy markets, because we can see that the new countries which have joined are all oil producing nations. Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, UAE, they are all oil producing nations. So which means this will help in terms of energy security of countries which are in the BRICS summit by itself. And this is a push towards de-dollarization, and it shapes multipolar world order. So next is unlocking potential of India's unincorporated sector. So from this, one thing very important is we should know what is an unincorporated sector. So this is something we should know. What is unincorporated sector is private business that are not legally registered as companies. That is what is the concept of unincorporated sectors. The private companies which are not registered as legally registered are called as unincorporated sectors, and sole proprietorships and or partnerships also come under this, and they come under the informal setup, and they employ less than 10 workers. This can be asked as a question, which of the following best defines unincorporated sector, can be a question in terms of preliminary examination that you should keep it in mind. Okay. So, annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises is conducted by National Statistical Office. So, this can be asked as a question, and it is under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So, about National Statistical Office, it was established in 1950 and it merged into NS1 2019. So, functions, sample surveys, field operation, data reliability and monitoring trends. So, this is about National Maritime Heritage Complex at Lothal, will be a bridge between past, present and future. What is the speciality of Lothal is that it is belonging to Indus Valley civilization. It is an Indus Valley civilization city. This is very important. This might come under the concept. Indus Valley civilization is a very important concept, specifically for both prelims and mains perspective. We can expect questions in both prelims and mains perspective. In that case, this is a prominent city in Indus Valley civilization. It is present in the present day Gujarat along Bogava river, tributary of Sabarmati, and this has an access to Arabian Sea. Because one thing is that it is world's earliest dockyard, and Lothal is one of the proof that we had trade with western countries even during the Indus Valley civilization period. And it has an advanced urban planning where they have citadel, that is the upper town and lower town. So, citadel and lower town is an example of social stratification present even during the Indus Valley civilization period. And the streets are in grid pattern and proper drainage was present. And they were called as the Manchester of Harappan era because of the trade significance, specifically cotton. Even today, this Saurashtra region is where we have the cotton production and cotton related trade. So, Lothal was called as the Manchester of Harappan era because of this trade. Trade at Lothal, hub for semi-specious stones like beads, carnelian and agate, and traded with Mesopotamia, that is the present day Iraq, Egypt and Persia, and it declined due to river course changes, and obviously we know river course changes is one of the concept where the decline of Indus Valley civilization as a theory in terms of decline of Indus Valley civilization, and dock silting, reduced maritime activities, all these took place. And it is listed on UNESCO's tentative World Heritage Site for cultural value. So, that is one thing we should know. So, development initiative. So, about this National Maritime Heritage Complex, it is an initiative by the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, and they have this because they want to showcase and preserve India's rich maritime heritage. So, what is the key feature? It has a museum with 14 galleries which chronicles the maritime history of India starting from Harappan era to the present, because this is one of the earliest dockyard. Lothal is the earliest dockyard, and now this has given us understanding about the timeline with respect to development in terms of maritime trade of our country. And life-size Lothal city, immersive experience of ancient maritime activities, that is also one of the key feature. And world's tallest lighthouse museum, evolution of lighthouses and maritime navigation takes place, and theme park based parks focus on maritime naval themes, and then climate change, monuments, etc. Coastal state pavilions, hospitality zone, and also Maritime Research Institute is present here. Significance, so it is for education, conservation of culture, tourism, and also strengthening India's role. Specifically, India is concentrating more on soft diplomacy, and this is one of the way where we take our role in terms of maritime power through soft diplomacy. So, next is NASA probe flies closer to the sun than any spacecraft. So, this can be asked as a question. That is, NASA probe is in science and technology. They can be asked as a question like, this is the first man-made object that flew closer to the sun forever. So, that can be a question, and yes, NASA's probe is flying closer to the sun than any of the spacecraft in the history. And what is the speciality? How did that take place? Is that they have a ceramic coating, and that ceramic coating is highly protecting the probe from heat. So how did this take place is because of the high heat production given, and that is nothing but a ceramic coating. Okay, so that can be asked in the question. Key features: closest approach to the sun, and speed of you can see 690,000 kilometer per hour, and it is the fastest human made object. This again is an extreme statement. This is the fastest human made object, and this is the closest. Two extreme statements. Extreme statements are rare in science, please note it down. This can be asked in the examination. And mission management, NASA and John Hopkins, so they both take care of this. Heat shield, it can withstand up to 1000 degrees Celsius, and it can keep the instruments at 29 degrees Celsius. So outer cover can be 1000 degrees Celsius, but still the instruments are 29 degrees Celsius. And the launch vehicle is Delta 4 Heavy, and Venus flybys, 24 flybys to gradually reduce the distance. So scientific instruments, they use fields, ISOIS, whisper and sweep. So fields is to measure the electric and magnetic field, ISOIS is to measure particles across wide energy range, and WISPR, it captures images of corona and inner heliosphere, and sweep is to measure properties of solar wind like speed, density, etc. So what is coronal heating is, corona is hotter than the sun surface, and that is what is called as coronal heating. And plasma and magnetic behavior, and then solar wind acceleration, why, how does the sun expel, all these things they are trying to study through this particular process. So Indians H1B visa, what is this H1B visa? Recently there is this controversy after the election of new president of America. So there is this concept, there is this controversy going on related to the H1B visa. So this H1B visa is a US non-immigrant visa. So what is this for? Is to specifically to employ, this is a working visa. So technical and academic expertise people will get this visa. So the eligibility is minimum of bachelor degree or higher in IT, finance, medicine and STEM. So this is one of the important concept. H1B visa is not given for anyone, for everyone who wants to work there. Only for technically expert people and the minimum qualification of bachelor degree. So they give this H1B visa, and the duration is 3 years and it can be extended to 6 years. And H4 visa is given for the people who are dependent on H1B visa people, and their dependents who are less than 21 years, 21, and can accompany the people who are having H1B visa. So largest beneficiary, because 70% of H1B visa holders are Indians. So with this we can understand one more thing called as brain drain theory, where the human resource we are supplying to the world is taking away the brain, brain capacity, the human resource capacity with them. So brain drain concern, it reduces the talent pool inside our country and everybody are working outside. Even though it is bringing net factor income from abroad, so the productivity of the human resource within our country, the domestic productivity is reducing, that is the issue. And this has an impact on India-US relationships also, because there is a reoccurring topic with respect to this H1B visa, and this is a concern with respect to diplomatic engagements between US and India. So government actions, so we are advocating for the rights of Indian professionals, and we are developing, see, this brain drain is not taking place because people are going out, they want to. See, the two thing here is, one is the opportunity is better outside. So if our country has to sustain, our country has to retain all these talent pools, we have to create the opportunity in our country. So creating the opportunity within our country, we have certain scheme like Skill India, Startup India, so all these things. So that is something you can write it as an answer when there is a question, how can this brain drain can be addressed. Fine. So next is about unconventional methods like AI based warfare, a big challenge, says Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. So what is this AI warfare is that using AI we are operating weapons. So autonomous weapons like drones, robots, surveillance and reconnaissance, cyber warfare attack can take place. So any form of warfare, it can be air warfare, water, land, or cyber attacks. So anything which is going to question the security internally and on the border, anything can be coming under the concept of warfare issues. And decision making, predictive analytics. So here in terms of AI warfare, two perspective. One is AI can be used to improve our security, and AI can become a threat to our security. So if AI is used by us in a proper way, we can improve it, and if AI is used by our enemy aliens, that can be causing us a bigger threat to us. That is the concept here. So about that, and India's preparedness, what are we doing? So we have IDEX, it's a collaboration with startups for AI driven defense solution. This is very important. And next is we have National Cyber Security Policy of 2021, and we have CERT-in. So it is the first response related to cyber security issue. And then national NDA and military institutes, we have National Defense Academy and military institutes we have, through which we are trying to improve our capacity building. So center not to release its 2023 Good Governance Index, and see what happened is in 2023 the Good Governance Index became delayed. So now the central government has decided not to release the index, and we will be focusing on 2025. So we should know what is about this Good Governance Index. It's a nationwide assessment of the governance across the states. So in December 25, 2019, that is the Good Governance Day, the index was released, and it encourages the states to improve public service delivery. This is nothing coming under the competitive federalism. You can take Good Governance Index as an example under competitive federalism. This is very important. It is released by Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances. Frequency is biannual, that is once in 2 years, that is biannually. So indicators over 50 across sectors. Key features: agriculture, public health, economic governance, etc. There are various features, and ranking is given for the separate category for small, large state, union territories, etc. So past ranking in 2019, Tamil Nadu was the first among large states. So among the 18 states, Tamil Nadu ranked first in terms of good governance. In 2021, Gujarat was the first, and improvement observed in 20 states observed in 2020 compared to 2019. So recent update that the data has been prepared, has not been released, and we are expecting it in December 2025. So district level indicators has been released in some states, so that for few states it has been released already. And top performer in 2023, it is a finding, even though they have not released, they are saying that Tamil Nadu has been a better performer, and southern region generally is performing better. This can be a question. Why in terms of good governance other regions are generally performing better can be a question in terms of means. So large states, categorization is now large states, northeastern states, hill states, etc. and union territories. So shortcomings, they have excluded farmers' income in terms of calculating the good governance, and they are giving more emphasis on ease of doing business over the MSME's growth. That is one of the issue. And there is no balance between process based and outcome based indicators. That is also a major issue, because it is more concentrating on outcome based indicator than the process based indicator. So because good governance is about how the process is done properly, but it is more concentrating on outcome based. That is a major issue. So recommendations again to address the issues and gaps to increase the efficiency, etc. So that is all about December month's newspaper analysis topic, and I have given the PDF with respect to it in the description of this video. You can always check it and revise it, keep revising it, and thank you so much. We will meet again with similar topics. Thank you.